Hey, what's going on, guys? Hope you guys are having an awesome day. We have a lot to talk about regarding the economy, the world, and middle class shrinking, empire expanding. But first and foremost, guys, let's watch this clip real quick, and I will see you in a minute.
If you walk down the high street of any major city in the Western world today, you will notice a strange and unsettling paradox. On the screens in the shop windows, the news channels report that the stock markets are near all-time highs, unemployment is relatively low, and the GDP is technically growing. But if you look at the people walking past those windows, you see a very different reality. You see the stress etched into their faces as they calculate the price of a sandwich that now costs nearly double what it did 3 years ago. You see for lease signs multiplying like a fungus on commercial storefronts. You feel a pervasive sense of dread, a collective intuition that despite what the politicians and central bankers are saying, the ground beneath our feet is cracking. This cognitive dissonance, the gap between the official economy of the rich and the lived economy of everyone else, is not an accident. It is the visible symptom of a structural collapse that began almost 2 decades ago, but was deliberately hidden from view. We are not merely in a recession. We are at the end of a specific economic era. For 15 years, the global economy has been kept on life support, pumped full of artificial adrenaline in the form of cheap debt and printed money. Now, the life support machines are failing, and the patient is waking up to a terminal diagnosis. To understand why this is happening now, in 2025 and 2026, we have to look past the headlines about supply chains or wars and focus on the single most important price in the world, the price of money itself.
So we have a lot to talk about today, guys. We really do. I mean, we have a global shifting of economies happening right now, guys. A lot of people are feeling like everything is just collapsing all around them. You know, the stock market is supposedly at an all-time high. All these things are going on, and really, people are just being bamboozled and misled to think that everything is great. But you start to realize that things aren't really that great when you are talking to the average person, right? When you start talking to your neighbor or your coworkers, family members, you start to realize that things are probably worse than they've ever been. Meanwhile, you have major distractions happening all around the planet. And that's exactly how the powers want it to be, right? They want to create distraction. They want to create, panic, right? And the best way to do that is through war, is through economic collapse, it's through, you know, disasters. I mean, you've seen throughout, the last few years all the crazy hurricanes that have been happening. I like to believe that not all of those were actually, you know, natural disasters, but actually weapon warfare, right? So, but I digress. A lot of things that we see in the media, a lot of things that we see happening, a lot of things are orchestrated, guys. A lot of things are staged. The world is a giant stage, guys. And that's what you have to realize at the end of the day when we're talking about the powers that be. Because remember, we've been living in a system really for the last 100 years where it's been unipolar, pretty much, where it's been American dominance throughout. And that's fine. But as you start to have these other regions, these other, empires, you call them, start to challenge American supremacy, then you start to see cracks in the system. For example, the BRICS, where you've got Brazil, Russia, India, China, and then other nations rapidly joining the BRICS nations. This is an alternative system that the U.S. empire can't allow to challenge it. So it's going to have to create distractions around these other countries, try to, bog these other empires down. So the empire, meaning the United States, continues to be on top. Because none of us that are alive right now have ever seen the world where the United States isn't a global power, or is the only global power, in fact. There was a Cold War with Russia, but again, you have a lot of other nations now that have serious weaponry, you know, and are opposing the United States empire. So all this ties in to what's happening here at home. And what's happening here at home is you have an evolution of the American dream, the American society, the American civilization, right? Where the middle class used to be large and prosperous, now it's shrinking fast because of the inflation and the job losses, etc. But now you've got more people than ever suffering, whereas you have also other people making the most money they've ever made. So there's a huge wealth gap happening in the United States. Meanwhile, the empire is expanding. Meanwhile, stock markets are at all-time high. Meanwhile, other empires or upcoming empires, rising powers, are starting to become, you know, territorial as well and challenge the United States economically. So we are in interesting times, guys. There's no doubt about that. And we have to really sit back and think, where is the United States going to be in 8, 9, 10 years from now? Where is everything going? Right? We have to really sit back and understand that the United States isn't the only game in town anymore. In fact, if you've ever left the country, you'll know that there's other nice places out there that offer a very good quality life. But you also have to make the sacrifice by getting your passport, taking the leap of faith, booking the flight, and going somewhere, right? Even if it's just for 1 week, it opens your eyes up so much to what's really happening in the United States. You know, the United States, obviously, you know, this is where I'm from. I love this place. But you start to have to, you know, to be able to wonder, right? Is there an alternative? And if for all you people out there that have never left the United States, there is an alternative. And for all you people that are watching from outside the United States, you'll realize there is a major shift happening where, yeah, you have a lot of people coming into the United States, but you also have a lot of people leaving the United States and retiring outside the United States. There's large movements like the FIRE movement, financial independence, retire early. This is a growing phenomenon. People are checking out of the workforce and they're leaving. So you have a lot of these cracks in the system where people just don't want to work the 40-hour work week anymore or 50-hour work week. They want to retire early, right? And meanwhile, things continue to get more expensive. And so you ask, where are we headed? Well, we're headed in many directions. It's anyone's guess where we end up as an empire, but this empire is expanding. Meanwhile, the empire's middle class is shrinking. So you have to ask yourself, you know, does my love for my country outweigh my happiness? And that's where you have to really sit back and think, you know, I may love, you know, the United States. I may love everything it has to offer, right? You know, I love the US dollar, the power it brings you. But the United States has been operating off of an old system, the petrodollar. And that's being challenged by the BRICS nations, right? So what you have to realize is, as all this is happening, there's going to be more wars, potentially. There's going to be more distractions, potentially. And you have to realize that by all that happening, there'll probably be more bailouts, more bank collapses, more money printed, meaning more inflation. So you'll never get cheaper housing in America. You'll never get cheaper food. These things, cheaper cars, all these items are not going to go down in price. So what you're experiencing now with the inflation, baby, this is America's golden age of inflation right here. So accept it, make more money, or pop smoke and go somewhere else. Have a backup plan. You should always have a backup plan, right? But really, guys, at the end of the day, as you see all this stuff happening, you know, um, it just makes you wonder. Like, you've got the American empire expanding, meanwhile the middle class is shrinking. We've never been in this situation before, so it's a pretty interesting, you know, thing to think about. You know, um, empire's expanding. Empire is, taking over foreign lands, and you know, the empire stock market is, through the roof, all time high. Meanwhile, jobs are being, destroyed left and right. Wages are stagnant. Inflation's through the roof. The unemployment's really like 20%. So really, guys, we're in a weird position right now where the government, the people that are in power are gonna have to do something to get us out. And I think you'll probably have a reset eventually of some sort. I don't know. You guys let me know in the comments below what you think is going to happen, but I think something's coming for sure, because you can't continue to lose the middle class and think your empire is going to be strong. I'm sorry. So, if you're still here, guys, go ahead and subscribe right now. Hit the like button, guys. Drop a comment below, too. Let me know what you want me to cover next. And, yeah, I'll talk to y'all mañana, okay? Peace out.